Welcome to the Jacob's Ladder Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob.
And I'm your co-host, Professor Carl.
Do you wrestle with God? I know I do. Whether you refuse to believe or you're chasing after him.
This podcast is for you.
Howdy, Carl.
Hey, Jake. Episode number 24, I hear.
24. This will be the last one for the year. Wow, we made it a year.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Actually, 24, that's 2 years worth of work right there, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, really. We cooked it for a year, recording episodes over the course of many months. But really, I think we found our footing like January 25.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Started hitting it hard. So, because really, we only had 4 episodes in the bank that we had recorded from March 24 to January 25. So,
yeah, we had lots of learning and starts and stops, and that was bad. Let's try that again.
Life was happening. What music do we even want to use? How do I use this equipment?
That's right. Absolutely. So today we're going to go off script.
Ooh, all right.
I noticed, I told you to put your notebook away.
You don't even want to do the Who is God?
No, we're going to go off script.
Totally off script.
Got something else on my mind.
Oh, okay.
Is that fair enough?
That's fair enough. All right, then I will say this. The next person in the Trinity, Father God, Who is God series, we'll record that first one in January. Let's do that.
Sounds great. So love it.
Hit that one.
Absolutely. Gives me time to go back and read my notes. No, just kidding.
I got to come up with good questions.
So every worldview has one issue that it has to answer. What would that issue be?
Where'd we come from?
Nope.
No?
Nope. It stumbles. It causes every worldview. It really is the differentiator in every worldview. And that is, why do good people suffer?
Ooh, okay. So is this, when you say worldviews, this would also include a secular worldview?
Oh, yeah. Atheist, agnostic, pantheist, all of the religions that are out there, monotheism, the 3 big monotheism, Jewish, Christianity, Islam, all of the polytheists out there who believe in multiple gods, multiple beings out there, all of them have to answer the question, why do good people suffer?
Can we distill it a little further?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like good people suffer when evil people or people do evil things to them. But there's also another component of just like naturally tragic consequences. Like get struck by lightning or they get cancer, which that's the stuff that bothers me more than because the free will component I can understand. Like,
so why does a 14-year-old boy have his whole life ahead of him? Why does he get cancer? I mean, for a Christian, that's a huge question. It's why many people reject the Christian faith, is that a good God, how can a good God allow things like this to happen? In fact, there's a whole theological discipline out there called theonomy that is about that very question.
It's a big question.
It is a big question. But now maybe we should ask, how do other worldviews deal with that question?
Before we answer the Christian.
Yeah, well, first of all, we have to ask, what does suffering mean? We got to get a really good definition of suffering.
What I want to say is it's unnecessary pain, right? Because there is discomfort that is good for us. But I don't know if I would call that suffering, right? Like,
hey, I'm slicing the onion and I'm crying. Is that suffering?
No.
Oh, I'm slicing the onion and I slice part of my finger off. Is that suffering?
Slightly.
What's the difference?
An inch?
Yeah, an inch.
No,
why is some things suffering and some things aren't?
Some of it seems, oh wow, that's good. I don't know. Just having time to think about this. I would say,
welcome to where most people are at. We don't really understand what we think suffering is.
I want to make sure we define suffering correctly, right? Like,
correct.
A 14-year-old dying of cancer seems needless to me. Like, I don't understand, and I'm human, I get that. But versus like someone who is suffering through a season in life, or let's say someone joins the military, you are going to suffer through all your training. But at the end of it, you are going to be refined and very good at what you set out to do.
Okay, so is that suffering?
I don't think so. But
it depends upon whether you're in it or
there's
not.
moments, right, where you're like, this really sucks.
So is there then suffering?
I would think so. When there's something happening to a child, like a newborn baby, right? I can't remember where I heard it last, but there was, it was probably on Instagram, like a newborn baby that's born with a problem and only has hours to live. Mm-hmm. That's pretty terrible. That seems needless.
Yeah, there's a condition out there where a newborn baby is born, and the pain that it's in, it's a nerve ending problem, and the pain that it's in, it's going to cry until it dies, until that baby dies. We would call that suffering. Why would we call that suffering and not, I cut my finger and I let it go, let it die, my finger, I don't take care of it properly, and now I have gangrene on my finger. That's not suffering. That's just
self-inflicted
pain.
Yeah.
Right?
We all have self-inflicted, right? Hindsight's 2020. Like, oh, dang, I was a dummy. Why did I do that?
Sure. But, cancer is a great one. Death by an automobile accident, there's another one,
Yeah.
The suffering that happens as a consequence of what other people do. So, say the daughter is suffering because her father was walking down the street and someone shot him. We're talking about real life things here. And if you're listening to us and this has happened to you, it's not because we're thinking about you specifically. These are generalized understandings that happen to, we could point throughout the internet and find something that we want to find. So why is it suffering for some people and not suffering for others? Maybe I should ask a different question. The dog has a puppy that is broken. The dog takes it off by itself, lets it starve to death, and it dies. We think nothing of that, right? We might look at the little puppy and say the puppy's suffering, but the mother doesn't think the puppy's suffering. The mother's thinking, this is what I'm built to do, right?
Yeah.
Yet when we have an infant born and it has a problem, we take it to the NICU and do everything we can to keep this little one alive so that it might become whatever it's going to become. Why is the human baby suffering and the puppy is not?
I mean, I would honestly say the puppy is suffering. We just, our scope of, I don't want to say we don't care about the puppy, because we do care about the puppy. But there's something different with, like, if you were to go to take that example to the wild, what if it was a maimed wolf pup or a maimed baby deer? One, we probably wouldn't know about it because we're so disconnected. But there's some about it, another human, because we're human. There's a relational factor to that.
Absolutely. So I would put forth to you that suffering is a pain event, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be mental, It's a pain event that we say this isn't right.
Right.
It's a moral issue. It's not just a physical issue. It's not just a mental issue. It's not just an angst issue or a exoteric issue. But that suffering in some way, shape, or form, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. We know it's not right. Like this shouldn't be, because we have examples of when it goes right.
Absolutely.
And even when everything goes right, there's still a degree of, I don't know if I want to say it, suffering. Like you can have, let's just take the health aspect to that question, the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a life cancer-free and live to be 100. There's still going to be plenty of suffering from other areas in your life.
Sure. But I think we misunderstand what suffering is.
Yeah. Maybe that suffering, I wouldn't say is something's wrong. Like that's kind of like the built-in.
Oh, I'm sure that every one of my students in my classes think they're suffering for Jesus. Right? Oh, man, I got to do another assignment. Man, this is so hard. That's not suffering. That's just having to do something that you don't want to do.
That's the hard work. That's the David Goggins that like run until you can be faster at running,
Sure. And we would say that, all the guys that are on the latest, greatest sports team, they're all suffering, right?
Right. But to be better.
Yeah, but they're not really suffering. They're being self-disciplined.
Yeah.
They are
struggling for achieving something.
Yes. And everybody who's ever done a PhD think they're suffering. They're not suffering.
They're struggling. You're just struggling, kids.
Yes, they're just struggling. Well, because you're doing something that's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's not right, but it's just hard. And there's a difference between something being hard and something being not right. Does that make sense?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So suffering has to it an element of morality. This is not the way it's supposed to be.
Would you add an innocence to that?
If you want to.
Yeah. Because no one wants to see someone who's innocent and didn't get to choose, right? Everyone chose to go into their various, whether it's a PhD or a professional athlete,
or
you're not necessarily
doctor.
Innocent because you made a decision to go in that.
Right. Medical doctor, cab driver, whatever decision you made to go into to enjoy your life in, that's part of life. But suffering seems to have a point to it that's useless.
Yes. That's a good word for it, actually. Useless. Yeah. Useless suffering.
Right. So, which means it's not supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
Which is a moral component. See, I'm going to come back to this moral component all the time.
Okay.
Because I believe suffering is really about a moral component that God is trying to get us to think about.
Yeah.
Right? So let's think about things that we do. Let's think about suffering from a non-Christian perspective. All right? So is the earth suffering today?
From a non-Christian, so how about it? Let's say this. Let's start with a non-religious.
Okay.
Is the world suffering? I would say no. There's suffering in the world, but the world's not.
So the earth isn't suffering?
No, because it's operating by all the laws of physics and, all that stuff.
Yeah. And the earth is, I don't want to say unintelligent to offend all those who believe that the earth has intelligence, but if from a pantheist point of view, what is suffering?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. Well, pantheist says, hey, all things are going to be about getting back to the universe, right? Because there's no loss of energy. There's always the conservation of energy. Energy just changes form. Therefore, when you die, no big deal, right? And all of these things are all the same. There's God in this table. There's God in the can. There's God everywhere because the universe is God. So if the universe is God, and there is not a single mind behind that universe, then everything that happens is happening for a purpose. And suffering is not happening for a purpose. Do you understand the concept there?
So suffering's happening for a purpose from a pantheist point of view.
Well, it's not wrong, therefore it wouldn't be suffering.
Is anything wrong in a pantheist view?
Well, it depends upon how the person is approaching the topic, but let's think about that. Is the eagle flying over and catching a rabbit, is that wrong? No, that's what's designed to be.
Right.
So if everything has God in it, then the person who is shooting a gun is also doing what the universe wants them to do.
So in that respect, there's no suffering. Everything's perfect by design.
Well, everything's by the world's process, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to go to the Far Eastern understanding of pantheism, we are trying to lose the physical and get back to the spiritual. I am a drop of water that needs to get back into the ocean. As individualism, I'm outside of what I should be. So I need to become...
That's pantheism, or is that Buddhism?
Well, Buddhism is a form of pantheism.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, I forget what Buddhists are trying to achieve. The
Nirvana.
Yeah. It's not... What am I thinking the middle path for? But, okay. Yeah, I mean, that sounds similar. It's a little bit similar to a secular point of view because you're looking at like from and I'm going to just speak to it because that's what I used to believe, is the world is kind of fairly balanced. It's running on rules. Death is a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering is natural just as much as pleasure is natural, right? It's all part of a system. Like you can't escape it as part of the system.
Right, and suffering in that definition is just a form of pain.
Yeah.
It's not really how we've defined it as useless.
And it also seems not, when you look at it like that and you don't necessarily think of a creator behind it, it seems more, I don't want to say random, but it is, right? Like it's like, well, it's just the luck of the draw that, it's like a game of chance kind of. Like you didn't have any more probability to suffer than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, it wasn't about your decision. It just was the probabilities.
Which, I'll be honest, there is a part of it that makes that pill is easier to swallow than once I became Christian, where I'm like, oh, there is a creator who had to like review these plans and go, okay, I'm going to allow this, but don't know for what purpose. That's equally as comforting as it is upsetting.
Well, it is a real weakness of the Christian faith, is that a good God who does only good things allows evil to cause humans to suffer.
And I know, I'm thinking of Joseph. They meant it for evil, but I meant it for good. Mm-hmm. Right? When you look at like, to have that kind of faith through your entire life and go, okay, I'm gonna live terribly, but at the end, I'm gonna serve this greater purpose that God has in store for me, that the trials and the suffering were purification and refining, right? I forget where in Scripture it says these trials are to purify you and refine you. I've heard that recently.
James chapter 1.
Yeah. Which that's nice to hear. Like, oh, okay, these are for a reason. But how do you apply that to a young child that dies of cancer? It clearly wasn't for the child. Is it for everyone around the child?
That's a great question.
Right.
I would like to go back to your Joseph example.
Okay.
So Joseph went through all of those different things because God had a salvific plan in this,
Yeah.
right? So we don't always find in our personal lives suffering that brings about salvific plans.
Right. We're past that. Yeah.
So I just bring that up because God in the Old Testament is driving humanity to a particular point in history, right? Now we're being driven to a different point in history, and that is his return. But often my actions are not part of, or my suffering may or may not be part of his salvific plan, right?
Right.
It's not to bring Jesus the Christ down to earth and have him go through his life, death, burial, resurrection. We're past that. So now how does that function? We on the other side wrestling with this.
Because it makes it like, okay, if I'm not part of the salvation plan, then is this actually just pointless suffering?
It's a great question. Is it pointless suffering? Or does God have something else for us? Or is there a point in which we are actually talking about God's character when it comes to suffering?
Oh, this all boils down to God. I mean, I don't want to say it all boils down to God's character, but I almost do, because it's like, well, what in his character has allowed this suffering that may not be for a big salvific plan? Is it for character development? Or can it be simply just bad crap happens because it's a fallen world? And each one of us has to eat a certain size sandwich. Sometimes the sandwiches are bigger for others than others of crap. Like,
okay, so what principle is that working through?
I mean, I don't know what principle, but I mean, we can go right back to Genesis. Like, this is our fault, right? Like, God created we were made perfectly in the perfect garden, and we mucked it up.
Oh yeah, if only Adam hadn't eaten, right? We'd all be still running around in the throne room enjoying God. Okay, so we're not running around the throne room. We recognize that humanity is in a fallen world, and that disease happens, COVID happens, all this stuff happens. We recognize that. So let's go to Job and think through the book of Job, because it is the one book that everybody goes, oh, well, that tells why God does what he does, right? Yet we kind of get to the end of the book and we're like, okay, that didn't make any sense.
What?
Yeah, what was really going on? Okay, so Job chapter 1, God's in heaven. All of a sudden, this person or this angelic being called the adversary or Satan, the
accuser,
the accuser, means the same thing. Yeah. He comes into the presence of God because he has to give a report to God. So now, that doesn't fit my picture of Satan, does it?
Yeah, working for God.
Yeah, that doesn't fit my picture of this at all. He's the evil dude, right? He's the one that brought temptation in Genesis 3, where he's the reason we're all messed up. If we hadn't yielded to temptation, we'd be okay. And yet here we are in Job. It looks like Satan is this
prosecutor.
Yeah, maybe that's the word we want to use, prosecutor of heaven, right? And so God says, hey, what you been doing? He says, I've been wandering around the universe, doing what you're telling me to do. And he says, have you considered my servant Job? And he's like, yeah, well, if you wouldn't protect him, he would curse you and die, or he would curse you. He says, okay, you can do anything you want, but you can't touch his life, can't touch his body. So he takes his kids, he takes his employment, he takes his home, right? And it's God because the servants all show up within 5 minutes of each other. So imagine right now that the fireman calls you and says, hey, look, your wife and kids have just died in a fire, right? And you'd be like, wow, that's horrible, right? And then you get another phone call. As soon as you hang up with that one, you get another phone call. Hey, I'm firing you. You just lost your job. And you're like, okay, I lost my kids. I've lost my job. Ooh, and another phone call. As soon as you hang up that one, another phone call comes in. It's your wife on the phone, and she says, the house just got burnt down. What are you going to say?
A lot of I can't say it on the podcast. I'll probably look up at God and say some things like that. Like
That's exactly right. You would look at God and say, "What did I ever do to you?"
it.
Isn't that what everybody does?
I don't know if I would say what did I do. It would be what the blank. Why?
Yeah. Why are you doing this to
Why?
me?
Yeah.
What did I ever do to you?
Okay. Yeah. I guess what did
Okay.
I guess eventually I'd get to that question. What did I ever do to you?
And what does Job do? He grieves.
He grieves. Yeah. He never cursed God though.
Yep. He never accuses God.
I can't remember what point of the story, but it's the famous words he said. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Praise be to God, or blessed be the name of the Lord.
Yep. Okay, so now we get to chapter 2, and chapter 2 is probably, some of the terminology might mean it could be like 7 days, it could be like 7 months, it could be like 7 years.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know. But here's good old God hanging out in heaven.
Just 5 minutes. That's bad. Like,
oh, yeah. Could you imagine? 7 days of mourning, right? 7 months of mourning. Wouldn't you mourn 7 months to have lost all your children, have lost your job,
years.
lost your house? All you got left is your sweetheart, and what are you going to do to take care of her? You know, all you got is your property, and you got to start over. And, you know, imagine all of the stress that he's going through. And chapter 2 starts, and here's God up in heaven again, and the angels are coming by to give a report, and here comes good old adversary. Hey, God says, what you doing here? Oh, I'm doing my job. I'm talking to you. And he says, hey, have you considered my servant Job? You know, like, hey, if I'm Job, I'm like, what's the deal here, dude? But he says, have you considered my servant Job? He says, you know what? If he really loved you, I could touch him physically, and he would curse you and die. That's where if you let me do everything possible, and God says you can do anything you want, but you can't touch his wife and you can't touch his life. Right?
Did he really say that about the wife? I thought he said you just can't kill him.
I think it says you can't touch his life, but for whatever reason, he doesn't kill his wife.
Yeah, the accuser left his wife around.
Right, sure.
Because she said to him at one point, and maybe it's after this.
Well, he then comes and touches his body, and he has welts that end up all over his body.
Okay, welts or boils.
Yep.
One or the other. Doesn't matter.
Probably. Okay. All we know is that the only way he got relief was to scrape himself.
With glass shards or pottery shards. Mm-hmm. Man.
So, and here's his wife. She comes to him and finally says, hey, dude, curse God and die. Now, I always took that as a very negative thing, that she's tempting.
Yeah. Like, oh, maybe that's why he left her alone, so she would just push him. I don't know.
But on the other hand, how would you feel if your sweetheart was...
Could be a merciful thing. Like,
yes,
hey, death would be a mercy at this point for you.
Right.
Like, that's how bad it is for you.
Just go ahead. The suffering is so bad. And we don't ever think about her. She lost...
everything too.
Yeah. And she gets to watch her husband go downhill. And I think there's a statement in there about, will you keep your integrity?
To who?
I think she says that to Job. Are you going to keep your integrity? Just curse God and die. You know? So the suffering for her is so great that she's abandoning her faith.
Oh. So she's abandoned her faith, watching her husband hang on to his.
She's hurting. She's hurting just as much as he is. And she's gotten to the point where it's better to be dead and just let God take you, right? Now, what are all of these people working on? What's the assumption behind all of these people? 4 friends show up, and they all come to him and say, they all sit next to him for 7 days, and then they start talking to him. And one says, you got sin in your life. If you didn't have sin in your life,
this wouldn't be happening.
God wouldn't have done this, right? Another one was Pentecostal because he said, I had a dream at night. He actually says, I was between the spot. This is chapter 4, by the way, or chapter 4 or 5, one of the two. He's almost in that point where you're asleep, but you're not asleep. And he says, a presence came in my room and stands at the end of my bed and says, who can stand before God? Are not all men guilty? Right? And so that was his...
the prosecutor showed up to him.
Yeah, the prosecutor showed up, right? Absolutely.
Assuming it's real, the prosecutor was messing with him too.
Yeah, well, how many times has someone come to you and said, God's told me to, and that's very... often happens. I've got a word for you from God, and he told me to tell you blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
He can tell me.
Yeah, he can tell me. Another one comes along and says, you know what? If you hadn't have been living an ungodly life, you left the door open to let the enemy come in, right? Well, don't we do all those kinds of things to people who are suffering? You're suffering physically. Well, if you would have eaten right, if you would take care of the bugs in your house, if you would clean your house, if you didn't use all of these horrible chemicals, all of these different things that we say because we're living by a particular principle that is you get what you deserve.
Wow. It's a little bit of control in that aspect too. Like you're in control of these outcomes.
Yeah, it's all your fault. If you hadn't left the door open for the enemy to walk through, you wouldn't be having whatever, right? And the truth of the matter is that none of those things are right.
Not in this instance, but could they be?
Well, if all I eat is ice cream and I have a heart attack,
right.
Yeah. That's
or if you sin,
right? But that's not really suffering. That's the consequences of your action.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, you said suffering is useless pain. It's that thing that isn't the way it should be.
Right.
That's suffering.
Or someone innocent. Right.
Yes.
If you were doing something to bring that in your life, then you're not innocent. Then would that be justice? Not that, it's justice if you get sick because you eat too much ice cream. But I'm thinking in the sense of sinning, living a sinful life, then there's consequences for that.
Oh, sure. So let's say that, people who grow up in the 40s and 50s, the Marlboro man who had a cigarette in his hand, he was the ultimate male picture, right? And so if you've smoked cigarettes for 50 years, what do you expect to get?
It's consequences.
Yeah, consequence of that action. Or that's not suffering.
Yeah.
That's a consequence for the action. Suffering is that thing that you can't explain.
Okay.
Suffering is that pain that says this isn't the right way to happen. Suffering is when, for whatever reason, a tire comes off a truck and goes through a windshield. I heard a story of a rock being thrown by a tractor trailer as it was driving down the road, and it was a 6 to 8 inch rock, and it went right through somebody's windshield and killed the driver. Right? Now that's like, well, why did that happen? That's just crazy, right?
Yeah. Or
a child is born with a defect, and there's nothing wrong with mom and dad. There's nothing genetically wrong. It just happens, and what do you do about that, right? All of those things are what we would consider suffering. Good people having bad things happen to them without explanation. That seems to be suffering.
Yeah.
And notice we're using moral terminology. Good people, bad things.
Yeah.
Right? So why do good people suffer?
I don't think anyone knows, right? I mean, well, in the case of Job, if we can go back to that, well, have you considered my servant Job? What was he considering him for? testing and temptation. Like,
Yeah. You know what? You've been searching around the world and you got all these bad things. You can't find anybody bad to talk about. Hey, how about my servant Job?
yeah.
Right? Go test Job. See what happens. See if he's for real. See if he really does love me. Let's go give him some suffering and let's find out if he's really true to what he says he is. See, that might be the first piece of suffering is, do you really believe what you believe? Do you really believe your worldview?
Do we even have the right worldview, though? Right. That's as Christians.
Well, here we go. As a Christian, if you believe that God has a perfect plan for you, or God has a plan that is good, Romans 8, right? He has good things planned for you, not evil. So if you believe that, then this temporary suffering is nothing. This temporary life is temporary because what you're really looking for is the prize.
Eternal life.
Eternal life. All right? So now that gives me a different perspective on suffering. Doesn't mean it hurts less.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I don't feel all the emotions, and it doesn't mean that I don't work through the grieving process. What it does mean is I have a hope and a reason to look forward to tomorrow. Is that fair enough?
Yeah. I just, how am I going to say this? What if the entire life, like what if your life is just total, not that this is I'm trying to be delicate. Like Job had it, like everything was taken from him. Like at that point you could be like, what's the point of living? Let's move on to this eternal prize. Right?
Absolutely.
Not, like if this living temporary life, if there's nothing good for someone, how do you just like grin and bear, like, all right, well, everything will be perfect once I'm done here, dead here. That sucks.
Yes,
like
it does.
It's because I want tangible blessing. I'm guilty of this. I want tangible blessings
Absolutely.
in this life for my children and me and my family and my friends. I don't want it to be I don't want it to be like Job. That would be awful. So having, I don't know if anyone has faith in that. I mean, there's a handful of examples, right? Paul, he's one of them. That man was in and out of jail.
So are there any modern examples of that? Do you know of anybody in your life that is suffering and they're still seeking after God? They're still following after God?
Different degrees, yeah. I know people that have circumstances that are painful, but they haven't abandoned their faith.
And that's the whole point, right? Is that in the midst of suffering, we continue on, not abandoning the worldview that we have chosen. Because many people do not abandon their worldview, but their worldview doesn't help them. Their worldview gives them no comfort. Did your worldview give you comfort before you became a Christian? Was it easier to just say, that's the luck of the draw? That's the fates, because that's what you're really saying.
I wouldn't say it gave me comfort, but I didn't expect anything better.
So then you really didn't think about suffering as a moral issue.
I don't think when I'm going to be a little, when I signed on the dotted line for Christianity, I guess I didn't read the fine print of, hey, I mean, it's in there. It's clear. It's just, like what drew me to it was, oh my gosh, God is real. Yes, I have sin I need to repent of. He forgives me of that. I'm not going to go to hell, but I don't think I fully understood the suffering component of like a situation like, have you considered my servant Job? God testing your faith. That's a situation that's harder in a weird way.
See, that's the thing about the Christian faith that we're preaching right now that doesn't come across. See, Jesus never said being a Christian was easy.
On the contrary, he said, pick up your cross and follow me, and you will have to like die to yourself. Or if you try and lose your life, you'll save it. If you try and save your life, you'll lose it. I mean, it's very it says it right there. But there's so many examples of people being blessed in Scripture that.
Well, but we think blessed is in America, we think of blessed as materialism. We didn't think of blessed as being health. We think of blessed as being taken care of. Everything's wonderful, hunky-dory, kissy-poo. You look at the people who lived in first century Israel, their life wasn't blessed, or by our standards, their life wasn't blessed.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine that every corner that you go out on, there would be a police officer standing there with a military type weapon, just waiting for you to do something stupid, or just spitting on you because you're not in the military, and you're not of the right rank, and you're not of the right group, and you're not in the right whatever. That is kind of the lifestyle that those individuals lived. Now, they had freedom to travel, and they did all the kinds of things. The Romans weren't, they just wanted peace. They didn't want...
to collect taxes.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Peace and money. That's all they wanted, right? So here's Jesus. He gives his life for us, but he says it's going to cost. It's going to cost you everything to be a Christian. Now, we look at that and go, what is it going to cost us? Oh, well, pastor wants me to give extra money for the building program, so it's going to cost me, a couple of major gifts for Christmas, right? Is that what it's costing us, or is it costing us more? Is it costing us something that we haven't even considered yet, such as our pride? How often do we get mad at God because our living situation is a little bit tight? You said you'd bless me, and I don't have enough money to do. I've been there, done that. Sorry, Lord, I recognize my own idiocy. But that's not suffering. We really haven't thought about what suffering is. We think suffering is the bumps in the road that we live through. But what do we do when we are about to lose our loved ones because of some unfortunate event? Because of an event that doesn't seem right. Your child is walking down the street, and the neighbor's dog, who is usually on a chain, isn't on the chain and mauls your kid, right? There's a consequence, right? But on the other hand, why did that happen? That was totally unnecessary. It's totally useless. And we look at that and we go, why, God? Why did you allow that to happen? That makes no sense at all. There's no value in that. There's absolutely zero value in that event from our perspective.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, 100%.
So how can you trust a God?
Like, why not? Why not send down an angel to stand next to the kid and scare the dog away? Why?
That's right.
Why not just it's a dog. It's not a human. Turn that dog around.
Yeah. Why don't you just
mind control? Get the dog away.
Yeah, you're a good God. It is a real problem that we face as Christians about this God who says he's good, who says he loves us. But, man, this junk happens all the time. All the time.
And that paired with the all-powerfulness.
He could have stopped it.
Because I know it says in Scripture he doesn't cause good, he doesn't cause evil, excuse me. He's not the cause of evil, but he's allowing it.
Sure.
Right? That's a hard pill. I still wouldn't say I fully swallowed it.
Well, can I wax philosophical here for a few minutes? All right. So let's go back to Genesis 3. Was it God's plan for humanity to fall?
How do you distinguish between what he would have liked us to do to what he knew we would do and allowed? Is one of those a plan and one of those...
How else does God show his love for us? How else could God demonstrate how much he loves us except for us to fall and for him to come and die
and rescue us?
It creates a different relationship, right? Your dad's your dad, and your mom's your mom, and you love them. But when daddy puts his life on the line for you, that changes the relationship, right? When dad rescues you from falling off of whatever you were going to fall off of, and you're the one that puts you in that situation, that really changes the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? When your son finally climbs that tree and gets stuck and you have to have him jump into your arms, that's going to change the relationship. He's going to learn to trust you. He's going to learn that you really do love him. Well, the only way God could really demonstrate his love towards us in a way that is so deep is he gave his life for us. So now let's redefine what we think evil is. Because we think evil is anything that doesn't go our way. Right?
I can see that. Yeah.
Right?
Not entirely, but yeah, we throw things like that in that category.
Oh, well, most everything we throw in that category, right? Guy cuts you off. That person's so evil. He probably never even saw you.
What about the dog and the kid, though?
Oh, what about the dog and the kid? Is that evil?
Feels evil.
It does feel evil, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's like...
Consequence of sin?
Consequence of a dog being a dog. The outcome is suffering. So I don't know.
Well, Genesis chapter 3, the animal kingdom and the human kingdom get separated, right? We once hung out with the lions and the tigers and the bears, and now we don't hang out with them because they have a tendency to want to eat us. Right?
Now, right?
Yeah, now. So the dog is doing what the dog does, especially particular breeds are bred for that kind of event.
Yeah.
The child goes unaware of the danger, goes into a dangerous area, right? So we have to control those animals. We have to build in pieces. Is that suffering? Well, absolutely. That child is going to suffer. If the child lives through that particular event, that child's going to have some major issues that it's going to have to work way through.
Psychological as well as physical damage.
Absolutely. Suffering. Absolutely. Most theologians have come along and said, look, sin entered the world. Suffering entered the world with it.
Yeah.
All right? But God understands your suffering.
Is that enough?
Does he understand your suffering?
Yes. I can't help but think of the kid and the dog, though. Like, it's not, and here I am putting myself in what I'm trying to say is, if I was God, I wouldn't allow that to happen. I guess that's really what it's boiling down to. I would have zapped that dog. Like, nope, no kid's getting bit on my watch as God. Like,
fair enough.
And I know that puts me in a position where I'm saying I'm a better judge than God. And I understand the theological problems with that, clearly.
Can I be just way out in left field?
Yes.
Right. Vanderpool heresy. Does that work okay?
I love Vanderpool heresies.
Okay. So here we go. We look at that situation and we say, oh, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. Right? And if I would stop that. There's got to be a reason why God doesn't. And it is because he's had something done to him in his human form that's worse than that. The dog is being a dog. And the dog has been trained to do whatever he does, right? Or he is doing the prey, or he either sees it as prey or he sees it as territorial,
right? Yeah.
Crossing over, right? But humanity did to Christ not prey, not territorial, just flat out evil to him. He suffered in ways that you and I will never understand.
Yeah.
The Father allowed his Son to have the worst form of torture the human of the first century A.D. knew. And he suffered that by choice.
To save everybody.
For a purpose greater than anything we've ever imagined, that you and I might have life and that more abundantly.
So if we knew the purpose behind all the other suffering, would that make it easier?
Well, we would at least, yes, it would give us a reason for why.
We just don't know.
We just don't know.
Well, we can't know.
Which means there is a reason for why. Will you believe in spite of?
I want to, but I don't know if I do. To be 100% honest, I want to believe there's a reason for every bit of suffering people go through. I'm not eternal, so I'll never know. So it's
correct.
That shows the weakness in my faith.
No, it doesn't. It shows that you're being honest with yourself.
Isn't that what he wants, though? He wants us to be strong in our faith, like Job.
No, he doesn't want us to be strong in our faith. He wants us to lean on him.
Oh, shit.
See, you're making it all about, I got to be strong in my faith. I got to be strong.
I'm looking at Job like, how the heck would I be in that situation and not losing my mind? I've lost my mind.
Well, he does lose his mind.
At the end, right? He does. And then
what are you doing, God?
He finally I've had enough. What the hell? Yeah.
No, every one of his comforters comes to him and says, you've sinned. You're something wrong with you. That's why you're getting what you deserve. And he says, no, I'm not. I didn't sin. I'm innocent. And they're all like, you're crazy, dude. The proof is in the pudding. You're sick. The proof is in the pudding. You lost your kids. The proof is in the pudding. You lost your job. There's something wrong with you. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't know why God is doing this to me, but I trust God. Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you trust God in the middle of losing your baby?
And I know, is Job the model for every bit of suffering? Maybe not. Because there's suffering with a purpose. Like I look at Christ, like he suffered with a clear purpose.
Yeah.
Job seems I don't know. Because at that point, he doesn't know. He just...
Jesus suffered, like you said, with a purpose. He knew exactly what was going to happen to him. He chose to have it happen to him. He was willing to live through it. He knows what it means to be physically broken. He knows what it means to be mentally broken. He knows what it means to be emotionally broken. If you've had a parent abandon you, Jesus knows exactly how you feel. Because while he's on the cross, the Father turns and looks away. The one that he's never, ever lost relationship with abandons him. Right? Do you realize that? The Father knows what it means to lose a child. Because the Father and Son relationship, they had always been together. And now the Father cannot look on the Son anymore because the Son is full of sin. So he has to look away. He has to have that relationship broken. He understands. He understands when God asks you to do something that you don't want to do.
Fair enough.
Right? He got so stressed that he sweated
Blood.
Blood, which we know now is a actual thing that you can do.
It's physiologically possible if you're super stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're beyond stressed.
Yep.
There's a name for it. I'd forget what it is.
Yeah. So we see then that God knows each and every stressor or suffering that we have to walk through. He understands. It's not fair. It's not fair that Jesus had to die. It's not fair that Jesus suffered like that. It's just not fair that my friend loses her baby boy.
And she doesn't know why.
Yeah, he just had a defect and a physical defect and died. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair that I have friends whose there's three daughters in a car and another lady in a car, and the couple on the other side of the median are fighting, and the wheel gets jerked and the middle girl dies. It's just not fair. It's not fair. They're heartbroken. They're suffering. They're living life without one of their babies. And it's just not fair. God understands. Not only does he understand, he's walked that path. He's willing to hold your hand. It's amazing how when we go to a grief group and we hear that other people have had it happen to them, and we walk that path together, the grief begins to be healed. Yes, it makes a difference that God's walked through that. Now, why does God allow this to happen? There's all kinds of reasons that theologians, number one is the portion in James, count it all joy when these trials come to you because the trying of your faith builds patience. Yeah, just what I wanted. And perseverance. Okay, I get perseverance.
Right.
And at the end, it's going to turn into something great, right? That's what James says. But that doesn't help me in the middle of the process, James. You know what I mean? Number one is it builds compassion. When you're suffering and someone else is suffering the same, you know what's going on in their life and you have compassion. What do we say? You never know what's going on until you walk a mile in their shoes or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. Builds compassion. So suffering builds compassion. Suffering keeps us humble. True suffering doesn't humiliate us, but causes us to live humbly because we realize we're not in control. As much as I want to say I'm in control.
As much as I try.
Hey, I was driving down the road the other day and something hit the hood of my car and bounced off the windshield. Didn't do anything to the windshield, but it left an 1.5 inch gash in my hood.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a sharp gash. I mean, it's not like a dent. It's like a line. So whatever that was super sharp. and it hit my windshield and was gone. And I'm like, okay, well, wasn't my day.
Glad it didn't hit through the windshield, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't my day to be dead. God's got a plan for me. Bummer that my car is messed up, but better the car than my face.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, he's got a purpose in everything. We, more than anything else, suffering should drive us to him. And what I mean by that is it tests our faith. Are you going to rely on him, or are you going to rely on your own? And those that run to God and rely on him are the ones who I see are emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, ready to give life more and more ways, more and more of what they are. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't people in the world that overcome all different kinds of suffering, because we see them left and right. But God has a plan, and he uses those aspects of suffering to help others come to know him.
Like your suffering will bring someone else to Christ.
Very often that's the case. I mean, think about all the people that you know who have gone through suffering, who are now public speakers, who share their story. Corrie ten Boom, if you know who that was, she was a Jewish woman or a girl actually, in World War II, who hid from the Nazis, had a Jewish underground to get them out of the Germany. And she talks about how God saved her and took care of her. There's another story of a Jewish person who was in the concentration camp, found Christ as their Lord and Savior. The person who was the German commandant of the camp later comes to this man afterwards, after the thing, and the Jewish man says, "I've found Christ and I forgive you." And the commandant fell on his knees and found Christ. Wow. Right? So these are isolated examples, but we could go over and over and over and over and over, right? Suffering is going to happen in life. It's part of life. The Bible puts it this way: the rain falls on the good and the not so good, or the just and the unjust, whichever way you want to think about it, right? Hey, God blesses both sides of the fence, right? Those who follow after him and those that don't, right? There's a bunch of people out there that are rich that have nothing to do with God. They want nothing to do with the Christian faith, right? And there's a lot of people out there who have absolutely nothing and are suffering greatly, and they want nothing to do with the Christian faith. And when you look at Christians, it's the exact same thing. There are Christians out there that are financially doing awesome, and they serve God with everything they have. And there are people out there who are broken and are suffering deeply and are living life that we would say is just horrible, and yet they love Christ. There's a missionary friend of ours who went down to one of the Central American countries and he went on a trip, and he went and did the missionary kind of thing, brought people with them, all this kind of stuff. And while he's down there, one of the people says, "Hey, I want you to go with me. We want to go, and we've been trying to get into this one group. I would like for you to go there." And he says, "Okay, let's go." So they go, and they're in four-wheel drive Jeeps, and they go through a river where the water ends up at seat level in the Jeeps, right? Yep. And they make it through the river. They end up going to a place where the people are living on a trash heap.
Wow.
And a young man comes out and challenges this missionary and just says, what are you doing here? You a white, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he says, I'm here to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with you. And he's like, I don't want the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want nothing to do with you, blah, 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 right? So he spends a couple of days there. He ends up going back. He gets a phone call from the missionary. They're just about ready to go to come back. They got like 3 or 4 days. A missionary calls him again and says, hey, dude, I got to get you to come back. We got to go see that young man again. So they go and see the young man. They pray for the young man's grandmother, I think it is, and she is instantly healed of whatever is going on in her life. And he comes back, and the young man has died. But Grandma tells him that he gave his life to Christ, and a couple of the other kids did something, and this boy lost his life. Because that boy lost his life, almost everybody in that trash heap village came to know Christ as their Lord and Savior. Because he was the hardest one.
He was the toughest.
He was
meanest
the toughest
kid, and he converted and then died.
Yep.
And that got everyone's attention.
Yeah. Now, if you want to really read a very, very sad book, it's called On Golden Shore. It talks about one of the first missionaries that left America that went to the Golden Shore, Burma. And he buried several wives on the field. He buried children on the field. Never, ever saw a conversion in that country. Lived his whole life after the call, lived his whole life in that country and never, ever found anyone converted. Crazy thing is when he passed away, when he died, the village that he was living in, everyone came and honored him and buried him and said, if a person can live for their faith and die for their faith, we will follow that person. And he started, and his death brought about the transformation of that village and started the church in Burma.
Wow. Meanwhile, he probably thought he was failing.
Absolutely. He's, according to the Christian viewpoint of America, he was a failure in his ministry. Right? Buried children, buried wives. Yeah. He was a failure.
Probably felt like Job.
Yeah, a failure. Suffering.
So, yeah.
We don't really have a great understanding of what suffering is and how it works. We have no idea what God's trying to accomplish in the midst of suffering. As 2020 backwards, we can see it. But
you were reading my mind. I was going to say, like, I can look back and go, okay, I suffered through a time, and I can see how it helped me get somewhere else. But
yeah, how many job firings have ended up in you doing something different that God was actually leading you?
Yeah, right? Not firings, me quitting.
Yeah,
or the jobs got so really tough and pushed me to the next spot. Then
right. So I want us to think then about this. In the midst of whatever is going on in your life, good, bad, indifferent, whatever your perspective of what's going on in life, life is not about that. It's about what we do with that. Maybe I can put this in a saying. God is not worried about your circumstance. He's worried about your character. He can change your circumstance anytime he wants to. He's going to ask, what is your character like in the midst of this circumstance?
Man.
Right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, it's just striking some chords.
Right? If you're financially tight, God can bring you money, boom, instantaneously, right? You could have an uncle or an aunt who you haven't heard from in your lifetime, and all of a sudden a check shows up and they said, hey, I was just thinking about you and I thought I would send you, a couple of grand. And you're like, the Lord just paid for my rent. I told a story about the missionary who was doing some itineration and his baby was hungry, and the prostitute brought by milk and diapers, right?
That's wild.
Hey, God can change your circumstance instantaneously, but it's not your circumstance he's worried about. He's asking you, what are you going to do in the midst of this? What's your character? Are you going to trust me or not? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go out and do work and we don't do the things that we need to do, but it means we got to trust him in the midst of the junk that comes through life, right? Got to trust him when you get fired from a job. Got to trust him when you lose your house. Got to trust him when your kid gets really, really sick, or you lose a child. You got to trust him when the body doesn't function like it used to, right? We all get old and we all have things that don't work like they're supposed to sometimes, right? And we got to trust him that that's okay, that God's still in control and he's going to help me get to the new heaven and the new earth when all this stuff doesn't matter anymore. Whatever you're suffering with, whatever you're wrestling with, he is not too far away that you can't talk to him. And if you know him as your Lord and Savior, if you know him as the person who is walking with your life, he is walking beside you. So tell him all about it. The greatest thing I learned walking through some suffering is that God can handle my emotions.
But I can't. I can't handle my emotions.
But it's okay. It's okay. You watch your kids, and sometimes their emotions just get out of hand, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And do you love them any less?
No.
Do you have to discipline them every now and then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the truth of the matter is if they're hurting, all you want to do is pick them up and hold them. Right?
Yeah.
Even in the midst of the screaming and yelling, you just want to pick them up and hold them. And then you want to take them to the doc to get them fixed. But, we have a doc that fixes us, and he's the one that wants to hold us too. So why not tell him how you feel? Why not tell him what you're struggling about? Why not treat him as if he's in the room? Because he is in the room.
And I'm not saying he would answer this question, but is it okay to ask, why is this happening?
Absolutely.
Do we usually get an answer? I mean, I don't know. Do we usually get an answer to that? That's what I want to ask, but I feel like the answer is probably not till it's over.
I was going to say, usually after the fact.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole reason we're walking through this stuff, is so that we know that we know that we know that he loves us and he's going to take care of us. He starts out with little trials, and then he gives us bigger ones, and bigger ones and bigger ones and bigger ones, because he wants us to do greater and greater and greater and greater things.
Do we get any breaks in between?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We get plenty of breaks. Here.
That's where I'm at. Okay. I feel like I need a break.
So 3 years ago, did you ever think you'd be doing a podcast?
No.
No. And what events brought us to this point? Some of it was some suffering. Some of it was, people want to know what's going on in your life. And so why don't you do a podcast where people can hear the things that you're doing, the struggles.
Immediately. I feel like we started this thing, and then I jumped into I don't know. I don't even know what. I was just like, all right, we started this thing, and it's like, all right, trial time. At least for me, it was a little bit.
Absolutely, it was.
And to some degree, it still feels that way.
But are you willing to sacrifice some of the suffering so that we can reach family, friends, people that we've never even heard of, and encourage them, watching them grow in Christ? I mean, how many people have we come by who we would never ever thought would ever listen to a podcast, and they've come by and said, we love this, and it's been challenging, and we just enjoy the rawness. Someone told me that I love the rawness between you two, that it's totally open. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
those trials probably contribute, for me at least.
Absolutely.
It feels real fresh
Think
sometimes.
about this, 24 episodes, and we have lived our life sharing what God's doing in our lives, sharing what God's accomplishing, the good and the bad, the struggles, the I don't get what God's doing. I don't understand.
I feel like I have one of those 3 times a week. That's kind of
Absolutely.
like, oh no, Lord.
Yeah. I have over the past 2 weeks, I've had several conversations that have been like, okay, God, what in the world are you doing? Why are you trying to tell me something? Are you trying to direct me in a different direction? Are you trying to prepare me for a long haul event that I'm not going to be very happy about? Why am I having these conversations? And what is the direction that you're trying to get me to go? Because I feel like you're trying to do something in my life, but I don't know what's going on. And
is this you personally, or someone saying that to you?
No, this is conversations that I've had that have just set me up for being prepared. Is that fair enough? The Lord often works that way in our lives. We think that suffering happens when we are not expecting it. The truth of the matter is God has probably been preparing you for it, and you weren't ready, you weren't paying attention. And so the older we get in Christ, the more we begin to become sensitive to what the Spirit is doing and how he is directing us. And now we come back and go, okay, he's preparing me for something, but I don't know what, so now I'm ready.
And you're feeling like you're being prepared.
Yeah. Don't know what it is, but I'm being prepared for something. And part of me wants to say, I'm getting ready for some big suffering. And part of me wants to say, you're in the midst of suffering because that was the conversations that you had,
That's interesting. Because I feel like I don't want to say suffering, but I get, I'm getting trials, various trials. Some of them, they're probably small comparatively, but I get stressed very easily about things that are not in my control. So I don't feel like I'm heading into, God, if I'm heading into a bigger trial, Lord help me. Like I don't get that sense, and I feel like he's trying to train me to deal with just, I don't know.
Well, I think the Lord is really working hard in your life, that circumstances, hey, he can change them. He really wants that character. And over the past 5 years, the character has become the bigger growth factor. Circumstances have been changing, right? Think where you were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And God has done such great things in your circumstances, but he's done 10,000 greater things in your character, hasn't he?
I don't know. I still feel like there's stuff bubbling to the surface I got to get rid of.
Well, we all going to feel that. We're going to feel that until we enter into his presence when he makes us completely and totally new.
I keep asking for that like a dummy, though.
You know what? I want to be like Christ.
Remember the beginning before I did the with my troubles? I prayed that prayer. I did another one. Just like 2 weeks ago, and it's like, all right, because I was at a point where I'm like, I don't want to be afraid to not pray that again. And just to be clear, let's see, what did David pray? Search me, O Lord, search my heart, find anything that you don't
wicked way in
that you don't want me to have. And I prayed that before, like right as we were starting this podcast, and things got real tough for me. Now I feel like I'm getting a bunch of whack-a-mole things popping up after I prayed it again. Because for a while I wanted to pray that again, but I was too afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am going, we'll see. So if anyone is listening has prayed that prayer and feel like the heat got turned up, I'm right there with you.
I remember in high school, my prayer was, it was actually a song, I Want to Know You More. And that was my prayer. And I remember I decided that I was going to spend all night at the church in prayer. I was a janitor at the church, so I had the keys and I could do whatever I wanted to, right? And I was going to spend all night in prayer. And I remember, man, I was doing really good. I got there about 9 o'clock and was just having a great time with God, or at least, I was full of steam from 9 till about 11:30. And I remember 11:30 going, well, God, I've prayed about everything I can think of prayed about, and you haven't showed up yet, so I guess that's not a prayer ain't happening because you ain't showed up at 11:30. And my prayer was that I would know him more, right? And that I would know him more. 45, 50 years later, whatever the years are now, I look back over and go, okay, he's honored that prayer.
Just not at 11:30 that night, huh?
No, I tell my wife all the time, I wish God would just speak to me, right? Wouldn't it be great if he'd just speak to me? I'm in the midst of this trial. Just speak to me what I need to learn, and I'll learn it, right? And I'll go on and get me out of this trial. Or I wish God would talk to me as much as he talks to television evangelists. That would be so awesome, wouldn't it? God speaks. Or if he would give me words of knowledge or words of wisdom, over and over and over. Give me all these things, God. And my wife goes, dude, God speaks to you all the time. You just think it's you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, how often do you say something that you think you thought up, but it's really the Spirit of God working through you? I'm like, leave me alone.
It's like, Laura, can you make it is there like a light, like a indicator light you can turn on?
Yeah,
Bing.
Absolutely. Only if I knew what God was thinking. But then if I knew what God was thinking, then where would faith be? All suffering is about faith. Are you willing to jump into God's hands and say, I'm yours, hell or high water, or, paradise, whatever you want. I'm yours, and I am not going to abandon the faith. And that's what Job did. Job did not abandon the faith. He says, I don't know what's going on. I don't get what's going on. I think God's being unfair, but I'm not going to curse him. I'm not going to say, God, you don't love me. God, you can't take care of me. God, I don't believe in you. He kept his faith and said, God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And if you can say that in the midst of your suffering, you are a deep, deep walker of faith. because I'm not sure I can say that. I know there's a breaking point in my life where I won't be able to say that.
Yeah, I couldn't. Like, I'd love to think I would be, but I know I'm not.
I don't think I am either. I know there's a breaking point in my life where...
Didn't Job eventually kind of break and complain? He may not have cursed God, but didn't he say some things to God right before he spoke to him?
Yeah. God shows up. Job says, "Why are you doing this? Do you not love me? Do you not care about me?"
Is that what Job said to God?
Yeah. He basically said, he's been unfair. I haven't done anything. According to the retribution principle, I haven't done anything. Therefore, I shouldn't be suffering.
So asking those questions wouldn't be considered cursing God?
No.
Like, I think you're being unfair, Lord. That's not a curse.
No.
Okay.
No. Does your kid say to you, "I think you're unfair"?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he's cursing you?
No.
Impinging.
What if your kid says you're a bad dad out of anger? Is that a curse?
Well, they're just telling you how they feel, right?
Yeah.
Because you're telling them bad when they do stuff that you don't want them to do.
Right.
So
you're being bad by telling me not to be bad. That's not what they said exactly, but that's paraphrasing the situation.
Sure. You're bad because you're not giving me what I want.
Yeah.
And don't we say that to God?
Would that be a curse, though?
Is it a curse when your kid says it?
I want to say no. Because the context is you're 3 or 5, right? Like, you don't know.
The context is you're like 7.
You don't know what you're saying.
The context is you're like 45 out of billions of years, right? Out of eternity.
So what is... I kind of like this line that God says to Job. Like, what is it? He goes through, like, do you know when the baby deer is born in the field? Do you know when, like, whatever, gird up your loins. I'm about to tell you what's up. Like, that's kind of I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But I think in one translation, God does say, gird up your loins. Like, put your big boy pants on because I'm going to tell you
that's it.
How it is. It's like, oh my gosh.
You want to run with the angels?
You know what? I'd rather have that than have him not talk to me.
Absolutely.
I'd rather have him scold me than not talk to me.
Absolutely. And so would your kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true. They may not think it at the time, but...
Now, if you're listening to us and you don't have a father and a mother like that, we're sorry that is your lot of suffering. But your Father in heaven is not a mean father. He's not out to hurt you. He's got your good in mind. And that's hugely important for those who are struggling with relationships with parents. Is God is not that guy out there just looking to beat you. He is the God out there that's looking to help you become his child. And he uses things to draw you to him, including our pain. So, we've kind of talked about suffering, and you can see how every worldview has to deal with it.
And it's not even like an easy answer, really. It's not.
Nope.
Like, it's not even knowing that God knows it, has experienced it, probably is doing it for a purpose, even though we may not even know until we pass into the next life. Doesn't even come close to making it okay. It's still
right.
Like, it's still crap. That's just how I feel about it, But.
Yeah, it's not fun, but you have so many blessings in your life, and so do I.
Yeah.
So many wonderful things to thank God for, to just sit down, and there's an old song that says, count your blessings, and they made a remake of it that says it. In the past few years, they made a remake of that says, count your blessings, count all the things that God's done for you. And if I would just sit down and begin to thank God for all the things that he's done for me, I could probably spend 5 hours just thanking him for every different thing that he has done in my life. Like I said, who knows what was bounced off the roof of my car or the hood of my car and didn't kill me because he protected.
Yeah.
I've driven 10 years now, on the Phoenix freeways, I've had one flat tire. 10 years of driving over 60 miles every day. I've had one flat tire. Can you believe that?
That's miraculous.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Was involved in my first auto accident in those 10 years, about a month and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no damage to my car whatsoever. The bumper was a little bit out of place. It was like a eighth of an inch out of place, and I just barely touched it, and it popped back into place. And the car's been great ever since.
Wow.
First accident in over 10 years of driving on the freeways. I mean, that's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's the grace of God. Now, I can honestly say I feel like I'm suffering when I'm stuck in traffic. But
isn't that purgatory? That's another episode.
That's why when I think about suffering, I think, man, I haven't suffered that much.
Yeah, likewise for me too.
Yeah, there are so many of my friends who are suffering so much more than I've ever suffered. And the little things that I think are suffering. I mean, when I put them in perspective of what some of my friends are going through, I have a great life. God has been so good to me. And I can't really say that I've suffered, right? I worry about a lot of things, but that's my fault, not his.
You and me both. I worry too much. I know I do, but...
Well, I worry about my kids. I worry about them. I worry about my grandkids. And you know what I have to do? Every day I have to say, God, you love them more than I do. So take care of them, because I want to spend eternity with these young adults. I want to spend eternity with my grandkids, and I want to spend eternity with my parents and my in-laws and all that kind of stuff. But I have to give them over to God, just like I have to give everything else that I have over to him. Because the Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. God's good, man. 2 years. Who knew we'd be 2 years, 24 episodes?
Yeah.
So as we close up this episode, how about we pray? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Father, it's been great for 24 episodes. We've, first of all, thank you for Jake, who brought this up and even was considering it way before I even thought about it. And thank you that for all the people who are listening, who have sent us little notes or said something to us, encouraged us. I am surprised at how many are moving, growing, loving, becoming more like Christ because of our times together. I pray that the hand of healing would flow into Jake's family and life and in his body, that you would make that which is not right, right. And then you would give him such a dynamic faith that worry becomes a thing of the past, that you would give him so clear vision of what you have for him and his family, and that vision would be such that it brings peace and comfort and joy. In fact, I pray that for every person that's listening to us right now, Lord, whatever they're worrying about, whatever they're struggling with, whatever pain is in their life, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be mental, you are the God who all you have to do is say the word and we will be healed. And so we come to you like that centurion that saw you on the midst of the road and said, hey, you don't even have to come to my house, just say the word, and my child will be healed, my servant will be healed. We say the same. All you got to do is say the word, and we will be healed. As we glorify you, as we praise you, we ask that you would send the power of your Spirit down on us, that we might be men and women of character that are not concerned about our circumstance, because you are going to change it for your glory and for your good, we pray. In the name of Christ our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Happy 24th.
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas. I'll probably release this before Christmas.
Sounds
and
great.
Everyone, please join us next year. We got a whole bunch of good stuff to talk about still. Spiritual
Absolutely.
disciplines is one on my radar.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.